Well, on Sunday,
Yes.
we promised to get back to you on Tuesday, which is today.
Right, so here we are.
Here we are. And what we wanted to show you, they parked the big boy in Provo, Utah for 3 days. And we've been wanting to get into the museum car.
Yes.
And the line has always been about an hour long. And so we haven't seen the museum car because I'm, first of all, with a bad hip, I don't want to stand in line for an hour.
Nobody wants
Second
to
of all,
stand in
I don't want to stand. Who would want to stand in line? I know the museum car is cool, but seriously.
Well, yeah, but there's so much to see and do when you're out on the railroad.
Well, yeah, and there's always other stuff going on, so we always found other stuff to do.
Exactly.
We want to show you the big boy on display in Provo and the museum car and something associated with the museum car, which is kind of cool, which is the Roundhouse that the big boy lives in.
Yes.
So check this out. Well, on Sunday, we showed you guys some of our footage from the big boy.
Oh boy, and you can't miss taking pictures of this.
Well, and in this case, these are actually not shots I showed you because, well, Karen was rolling, I was rolling, and so what I want to do is show you the footage that we didn't use.
Yes.
On Sunday. It looks a lot like the footage that we used in the Sunday show, but it's just the other camera. So this is pretty fun stuff. In May, when we were here, we came to this same spot because it's a great spot.
I love that spot.
And it was just as cold, only it was all green.
Yes, well, kind of green.
and now it's all brown, but it's still 30 degrees. So, well, that's Wyoming.
That is that particular part of Wyoming.
Now, just west of there in the Weber Canyon, all the trees were in full color.
I know, it was so pretty.
Oh, what a beautiful, beautiful day. It was still 30 degrees.
Yeah, it was pretty cold.
So later that day, they arrived Provo.
Right.
And they put the whole deal on display for 3 days so that everybody could come down and see it. So we did.
Absolutely. It was a really well-organized event.
I'm envious.
I don't know if they'd be envious if they saw you guys working 80-hour weeks to get this thing ready.
Yeah, there's a little give and take.
Yeah.
Then they throw us a cookie every once in a while and let us play with it.
That's right. It was really neat that we had a chance to see this in Cheyenne when it was completely taken apart. And now you look at it and it's like, I can't believe that they had this thing completely. We've been inside that firebox.
We have been inside of it, yes.
And now you look at it and you go, what? We were where? But it's just so cool to see it all put back together now.
You can really see how big this is.
Oh, giant.
Huge.
There are thousands of feet of these lubrication lines running all over, and it's all brand new, of course. Just amazing what they've done. And here again, we're in an active switching yard. They've done a first-class job of roping things off and making it safe for the public, but one needs to keep in mind how absolutely dangerous it is working around trains.
Oh, absolutely.
They can't see people when they're running the trains, and you do not want to get tangled up with a train. I mean, that's just the end of you.
Oh, absolutely. It's always fun to watch these things at a safe distance, but keeping in mind the danger that's there.
Some people just don't quite seem to get that, do they?
My blood just runs cold when I see someone allowing their child or themselves to do something like this on a active main line.
I mean, that is the active main, and they've got their backs to it, and a train could come at any moment.
Right.
We're working on a new show right now on how to safely film trains. That'll be up in just a few weeks.
Right.
Well, anyway, let's get into the museum car.
Right.
That's actually what we came to see here. And in this case, the line was only about 10 minutes long, so away we go. I think I can manage it, I hope.
They really had some neat displays in here. I really love the history.
Right, a whole bunch of it was keyed to the 150th anniversary of the driving of the Golden Spike, of course,
yeah.
which has been the big thing going on this year.
Absolutely.
And that's why the Big Boy was restored and sent out on the line, and why we're here today. These are all the different railroads that make up the current Union Pacific system. And if you look at all these yellow lines, if you live anywhere along those yellow lines, at some point in time, the Big Boy will be coming by your place.
Nice. It was really interesting to see how everything is moved by rail and was back in the day. That was the only transportation.
Yeah. They've got really neat displays here on the modern railroad and the historic railroad. And of course, Union Pacific maintains their heritage fleet. This is one of their heritage locomotives, an E9 that lives in Cheyenne, and we've been there.
Yes.
And there's said locomotive right there in the Roundhouse at Cheyenne. It isn't open to the public, but a couple of times a year, usually for the depot days,
Right.
it's open. And if you find your way in Cheyenne early in the spring, it'll still be snowing, of course, but it's open and you can see all this. And just as with the Big Boy, the E units occasionally will go out and run an excursion as well.
That's nice.
I love the look of this.
I do.
I'm not quite sure how many locomotives they have in the heritage fleet. Now, not all of them run. The E9 units here do, and they're used on a regular basis. This is 3985.
Oh.
Their first big articulated engine that used to go out on the line years ago, and it's kind of sidetracked right now, unfortunately. Now, some of what they were showing in here is their modern technology and upcoming technologies like positive train control. But this really blew my mind. They had this neat video that they'd made about how they're using drones now for inspecting their largest bridges. They still have to put human beings out there, but they can make it so much safer by just flying drones up underneath the bridge to really do a close inspection rather than crawling down there and putting your eyeballs on it.
I just can't believe the amazing infrastructure that, a corporation owns all of this.
Yeah, it would take a government to build something like this, but they've built it. Oh, they had toys.
Yes, peekaboo.
Peekaboo.
Oh,
So, of course, we had to play with the toys.
Yes, of course. Yeah, this was so much fun. I mean, I couldn't resist the selfie, right?
Of course. Well, I sort of wish we were following the train all the way to California, but we just can't.
Not make the ghost train in time.
Not make the ghost train, and my hip doth protest. I mean, there's a bunch of reasons why, but we'll let other people see it and film it, and we'll just follow along on YouTube.
Right.
We'll just keep in mind at all times how fortunate we've all been that Union Pacific has restored this thing and that we've had a chance to see an actual big boy running on a railroad again. Who'd have thunk it?
Yeah, no kidding.
And now that they have it, rest assured they're going to be using it.
I would imagine.
Yeah, so we all have many, 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 many days ahead of us spent watching this train and riding this train and enjoying this amazing heritage fleet of the Union Pacific.
No kidding.
So they'll be posting schedules, of course, on their website, and the easy way to keep track of all this is the Steam Club, Union Pacific Steam Club on Facebook.
Right.
And if this is coming to your neighborhood, you can go see it.
And do.
And do. Well, what a year. 2019, the NMRA convention, the Narrow Gauge convention in Sacramento, visiting friends at Lake Tahoe, Glenn's funeral in Southern California,
Well, 2 trips to
and
California.
to California.
No wonder we're tired.
And we're not done.
No.
Here in just a few days, off to the Ghost Train. If you've ever been out to the Ghost Train of Old Ely,
That's so much fun.
they take the number 40 steam engine. Everybody gets on the train that showed up from out of town, typically speaking, because all the locals line the tracks all the way up the canyon in costume.
Yes.
And each little family and group builds a display, and the train drives through everybody's display,
Yes.
and they haunt the train.
Yes, of course.
All the locals, and it's a bunch of people, and it is so fun. And it's this big community event. Everybody shows up, and people come from the little towns all around there to haunt the train
Including
along the
us.
ride, along with us. But we ride the train. Everybody else stands alongside the track in costume and goes spooky, spooky.
Yes.
And people build.
Boogity, boogity.
One year, somebody built this giant flying UFO. I still haven't quite figured that one out.
Area 51. It's
Area
over the hill.
51, yeah. So it's very cool. So we'll be heading off for that pretty soon.
Yes.
And we will, of course, take you guys along. I lost my train of thought. It's a occupational hazard when you chase train. Anyway,
Get derailed.
we'll be off to the Ghost Train,
Yes.
and we will take you guys along with us. It's all going to be very, very, very cool.
Yes.
Well, if you haven't been over to the channel, pop over to the channel, and if you're not a subscriber, here's your blue opportunity. It's not gold, it's blue. Hints of gold. Anyway, the blue button. Are we ready for it? Zoink! The blue button with the... We're not sure how you found this movie on the internet, and we hope you didn't find it boring, and we will see you here on Sunday with, we're back to the Narrow Gauge Convention.
Yes.
We'll see you then.
See ya.
Bye-bye.
Bye.